Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Soul Standing. My name is Beth.
I believe that.
And I'm Becky.
That's my mom. And today, instead of doing the normal or typical writing Wednesday, we are going to do Wonder Wednesday. Yay! So, over the last couple of weeks, Mom and I both read all of RJ Palacio's Wonder books. And then we read We Are All Wonders by RJ Palacio with Elena. So, first, we're going to talk about We Are All Wonders. Yeah. This was written and illustrated by RJ Palacio, like I said. And it came out this year, I believe. Yes, copyright 2017.
I
Yeah.
like the ball that the puppy on the cover.
Yes, there's a bird and a puppy, and then this is obviously meant to be Augie. If you've read the books, if not, there's probably going to be spoilers. So if you don't want to be
Hey,
spoiled,
Bob,
you should go away and read them.
One eye.
He does only have one eye, but you know what? In the books, he actually has two eyes. So what is this book about?
It's about him.
It's about him, but what about him?
He has a helmet.
He has on a helmet. He says even though he's not an ordinary kid, he does what? He does things other kids do, right?
They
Right.
play ball.
Like play ball and
Oh.
eat ice cream.
Oh, and look, I see a body.
Yes, and there's a bird, and there's his dog Daisy.
I like Daisy the puppy.
Yeah.
She's older
She's an older puppy,
when you read the book.
right? Yeah.
But that's still her fault.
That's not her fault. That's right.
We all get
Right.
older.
So what did you think? You liked it? Yeah. What about you, Mom?
I really did. I liked it. As an artist point of view, illustrator point of view, Augie didn't quite match his description in the book, and you mentioned that too. Um, it was the eyes that caught me in the description. They should have been sent. She said they were centered, and there were two, and then you mentioned the cauliflower ears.
Right. So in the description in Wonder, which we'll talk about in a minute, he had his ears were lower and his eyes were lower. They're all low on his face, but they mentioned several times that he doesn't have outer ears, so he looks like he has cauliflower on his head instead of normal ears. And this was illustrated by the author, so she knows it, but she went ahead and gave him normal ears anyway, which really was the only thing about this book that bugged me.
The
Honestly.
simplistic style, I think, was good for the kids.
There are a couple of really cool, like this page is really pretty.
Yeah.
But again, he's got this one, his eye is down lower, but he's still got the ears. And did you notice that she didn't put his braid?
Well, maybe it was cut off already,
Well, not if he has. Are you gone, kid? If he's wearing his helmet in part of it, then that's pre-cutting off the braid.
I like the idea of this message that every child's a wonder. Something in the years we taught that I really agree with. People need to see how special every child is.
I agree. Like that is definitely. Speaking of precepts, she ended this book with "Look with kindness, and you will always find wonder." And there is a world in his eyeball right there, which I just now noticed, which is a precept, which we learn about in Wonder. Did you like my movement there? We learned about the Wonder precepts with the teacher, Mr. Brown. Yes, it was a good transition, right? So Mr. Brown is an English teacher at Augie's school. The main character in Wonder is Augie Pullman. Is that his last name? And he has, how do they describe it? It's facial deformity,
It's a genetic mix.
Yes, his eyes are down low. He doesn't have outer ears like we said, but he doesn't have any mental issues. When he was younger, he had a feeding tube, had to be on breathing stuff, but they did a lot, and had a cleft palate. They did a lot of surgeries on him. He is able to eat and breathe on his own. He just looks a little different.
Elena, get out of my art room.
while we are taping, we don't yell at the child. Okay. So, anyway, um, in this book, Augie is going into fifth grade, and his parents' mother specifically thinks that he needs to go to a real school. He's been homeschooled most of his life because of all the surgeries, right? And she's not actually a teacher. She's just been trying to keep him up with everything he needs to know.
She was worried about math and fractions.
Well, those are worrisome things. Um, so she feels like he needs to go to school, and they get him into a private school. And this book is all about him going to his first year of actual school, making friends, going to classes as a fifth grader. So he's not a little kid where kids can get used to him easily. He's 10. He has his 11th birthday during the book. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or is he 11 and has his 12th birthday?
And the thing I like to mention is the fact they don't show him as being behind academically at all.
No,
his homeschool actually doing what they did actually gave him a strong structure, and he actually finds out he's either level or ahead of them.
Yes,
so I like that too.
He is really ahead in science because he was really into like space and things like that when he was younger, and his parents liked to encourage everything he was into. So he and his best friend spent a lot of time like at the science museum and the planetarium, which really helped him. So if your little kid wants to go somewhere like that, take them. If your 32-year-old wants to go to the science museum, you should take her. Anyway, it also talks about the reactions the other kids have to Augie. Um, and I found that interesting, although we hear from 3 or 4 different perspectives in this book of the different kids. His big sister, I liked her perspective, but most of the different perspectives kind of sounded the same, which I had a little bit of an issue with. I felt like even though there are 4 different fifth graders that you're hearing from, each kid is fundamentally different. So to have 3 that sound almost identical and you only know that it's a different viewpoint because it's in a different section was a bit bothersome for me.
Well, and 10-year-olds have a lot of things that are the same with. I do like the different parts. Not only did she put the name at the front, but she did, even though she was writing kind of in the same style, so it kind of blended all like that. I like the fact she would say little things here and there where she would realize that she's talking about Jack's point of view or Augie's point of view.
Jack's point of view
or
is
Justin's
one that I felt like was different. Yeah.
And I like the point she was making.
She did make very good points. I really liked the way she wrote about the teachers. A lot of the times, especially in middle grade books, teachers and parents are not a big part of whatever the story is. So I really liked that they were a big part of this. Like, and she really showed.
I liked the way that not just the teacher, Mr. Brown, gave the precepts, but the way the kids responded. And at the end of the book, the precepts she had listed.
And we will talk more about the precepts when we get to that book in a minute. Just hold your horses. All right. So, and I actually really liked it. Showed not just Augie's point of view or not just 4 or 5 kids' point of views, but in those 5 or 6 different point of views, I can't even remember a number right now. Math is bad, guys. I can't. Anyway, in those different point of views, it really showed us the difference between the bullies and how everybody in middle school is trying to get by and trying to deal with, not being an outcast, and how that affects how they interact with new kids, especially, one with a little bit of a facial deformity, but any new kid at all. And in fact, you get more of that when you read Augie and Me, because it talks about another new kid who was a very pretty new kid but had to make some choices during that 5th grade year as well. So this is 3 stories based on 3 different characters from the Wonder World. We've got Julian, who is horrible.
He made some good changes, though.
He did make some good changes.
So read it.
But definitely, I still don't like him, and I hate his mother with a fiery burning passion straight from the depths of Hades.
Sometimes children are formed by the parents they have around them. It's the cultural thing, and it's the family thing. So
one of the problems,
he was stepping away a bit.
He was stepping away a bit, and he was learning. But I think one of the reasons that Julian was able to be the bully that he was is because his mom was constantly making excuses for him
Reinforcing it. Yeah.
and reinforcing it. It wasn't his fault. He got hit,
He made some bad
and it
choices.
wasn't his fault he got hit. It was obviously the other boy's fault, even though Julian was mouthing off big time and caused a lot of problems for Augie and anybody who wanted to be Augie's friends. The next one we have is Pluto. Now, Pluto is about Christopher, who has been Augie's best friend since the day they were born. They were born 3 months apart, and so he first met Augie when he was 2 days old, and Augie was 3 months old. And they have been best friends ever since. And this is about how he moved away. And so he's dealing with fifth grade in a new city, in a new state, I believe, with his parents having issues and all sorts of things, and kind of how Augie has affected him and how he's noticing differences now that he's not around Augie all the time. And what did you think about that one?
I felt like it was good. It was okay. I liked his point of view because we only see touches of him in the first book.
Right.
And it really kind of developed his character a lot more. And again, I still don't think that this one really touched the first book. I think Augie, it would be nice to see how they handled their sixth grade years and to see more development of the friends.
I
and
would
stuff.
love to see that, but she has very clearly stated that that is never going to happen.
Yeah.
However, one of the reasons she has stated that she's not going to, oh, that looks so cool. You want to hold it up and show them? That's really awesome, babe.
That's for you, Bob.
It's a card for me. One of the reasons that Miss Palacio has said that she's not going to write a sixth grade Wonder story is because of teachers using Wonder and Augie and me in their fifth and sixth grade classes, and she wants them to encourage students to write their own like fan fiction of what they think is going to happen in sixth, seventh, eighth grade, and so she doesn't want to write a canon book,
right,
and halt that creativity because it's a really good point of conversation and for parents and teachers and students. Are you gone again?
And coming from a teacher point of view, because we both worked in the classroom.
Yes.
Matter of fact, you've worked middle school more than I have.
I love middle school kids. I know I'm sick. I'm going to get help one of these days.
I do think, even in a second grade point of view, that this book, I would read the picture book to them first and stress the point of it. But towards the end of the year, I would probably start them on the book because every teacher should read a little bit during sometimes of the day of the kids. And I read the little tree house, these other sections. I think I would have picked Augie if it had been available when I was still teaching in the classroom.
Yeah, that's. And I think it came out in
and really let them
2012,
talk about it, and especially the precepts, and then they could write their stories based on
We're
it.
not to the precepts yet.
So, I know. Get there.
The final story in Augie and Me is called Shingling, and it is about Charlotte. Now, at the beginning of Augie's first year of school, he was introduced to. Okay, let's pause this real quick. Shingling, take two. So at the beginning of Augie's fifth grade year, Mr. Tushman, the principal at Beecher Prep, which is their private school, asked Jack Will, Julian, and Charlotte to be his welcome buddies and kind of show him around the school. And, that way he would have someone that knew him and was nice to him to begin with. Now, we know Julian was not. If you've read Wonder, you know that Jack Will became his newest best friend. And Charlotte just kind of wasn't really part of the story. So this is Charlotte's story about what was going on from her point of view. And this one talks also about Jimena, who was the new girl, the other new student at Beecher Prep that year, and kind of how girls were affected by Augie coming to school and just everything else that was going on. What did you think about this story?
Like I said, I just didn't feel like it was quite as good as the others, but I do like some of the things out of it. And one of the things I did notice was the way that they expounded more on Julian and Charlotte's point of view. Because in the book, she's kind of nice, and then she pulls back a lot. There's a lot of hesitation, and so in this book, you get a sight as why.
Right. It really talks about how all the girls have changed and they're kind of hitting puberty and growing up a little. There's some dating going on. I really liked the narrative on dating, actually, about how they're talking about they're 11 years old and all these girls are dating, and it talks about what dating actually means and how she kind of feels like they're still too young to be dating, which
Right.
is
Which is
true.
a good point.
Very good point. My poor little junior high kids hate when Miss Tyree comes in because they can't be dating. So my seventh and eighth graders are talking about their boyfriend or whatever, and I'm like, "Excuse me?" And they're, "Oh no, we don't have. Can't sit with him at lunch today. Miss Tyree's here." So yeah, I definitely appreciated that.
But I do like the fact that Augie had somebody come forward and sit at lunch with him, and just
Right,
act like it was
Summer.
normal. And of course, you get later that Summer is very artistic. So those of us that are more artistic, you look around and you can see it. Well, I like the fact she can bring it through words, bring that artistic talent through the written
Right,
word to open it up to make everybody see when you go and there's somebody new making part of the crowd and not just fake it because people know when you fake it.
right. I definitely liked the fact that she used dance in Shingling. Like that was kind of how everything came together in the narrative was through dance. And for Pluto, everything was coming together both through the family narrative, what was going on with his parents, but also through him remembering going to the science museum and little snippets about the dog, and how they used to
Daisy.
play with Daisy with the Star Wars stuff and all that. And then Julian's was
Yeah.
definitely kind of a family drama as well. And
And really the fact that he felt guilty going to Pluto, um, on the fact that he felt like his mother's car accident might have been his fault. To
yes,
see that it wasn't, and to see how his father, even though they were getting ready to go through a divorce and had problems, backed him up
I
and
don't
see a
think
good
they're going to get the
relationship.
divorce
I don't
now.
think so
I don't
either.
think they
I think
are.
things are going to work out. We hope.
Um,
We won't know. They're not writing another book,
she's not doing anything.
but that look.
She has said that there might be a few more short stories that she adds to canon, but for the most part, she's not writing any more full length novels.
I think we should. I think we should go ahead and encourage as she wants the kids to write to also have them draw what they think these kids
Yes.
would have looked like. Just pick your favorite character
Oh,
and
yeah,
draw it out,
definitely.
and then say why, and then write a little
Draw
story where
comic scenes
where
about it.
where you as a student
Put the
where you
balloons
as a
away.
student gets to meet this person. They're new at your school.
Yeah, what
It'd be
would you
fun.
do if so and so showed up at your school? What would you do if Julian was doing all this? And of course, the kids are going to think better of themselves than what they would actually probably do, but it's a really
Go
good
fly.
thing. All right, finally, we are going to get to Mom's favorite and Dad's favorite also. He's not here because he doesn't like to but we read him snippets and talked to him about it. And he really liked 365 Days of Wonder. Now, we talked about Mr. Brown, who was the English teacher, and he loves precepts, which are words to live by. And so this is Mr. Brown's book of precepts. This is literally a book of quotes, and it is set up day to day. So today is, what is today? Today is actually May 22nd, but I'm going to post this on the 24th. Shh. Right. So the precept for the 22nd is making a million friends is not a miracle. The miracle is to make such a friend who can stand with you when millions are against you, and that is an unknown quote. And then for the day I'm actually posting this, the 24th, the wind is blowing, adore the wind, which is by Pythagoras. Pythagoras. He wrote a theorem, didn't he? I don't remember what the theorem is or what it's for, but he wrote one.
Okay.
But what do you think about
The
the
thing
quotes?
that I'd like is about the precepts is I found them interesting from somebody that had taught. I've taught kindergarten, second grade, seventh and eighth grade. I taught some high school computer classes, and these can be used at any of those levels, and I really like that. And when I read them out loud to Dr. Tyree, who's ECC certified, but he teaches ethics and philosophy for Northwestern
And biblical studies.
and biblical studies, Northwestern Oklahoma State University, and Dr. Tyree really liked the idea, and he's thinking about pulling some of these out and actually using them in ethics and discussing this with them, and he really liked it too. I really think
I think
it gets the
that
kids thinking.
the entire series is a good ethical discussion start point, and the precepts are really good for both philosophy and ethics. Plus, it's really pretty. I mean, it's got sprayed yellow edges. I'm pretty fond of. It just has any day that you turn to. You were born an original, don't become a copy, and that was just by some kid named Dustin who sent the precept. So
Well, he's just one of the students that just
yeah,
did
one of
that.
the students. Then we have Proverbs in here. And at the beginning of each month is um, a little personal essay. Well, maybe not at the beginning of each month. Yeah, at the beginning of each month is a little personal essay. Um, and she said that she based the Mr. Brown in the books on her junior high English teacher, whose name was also Mr. Brown, and who enjoyed using precepts. So I really like knowing that this is based off of an actual teacher.
You got to
She's
pick up on
drawing
that,
from
and that
that
it was a good
experience.
enough teacher that it made an impression that she would put it in writing
Yeah,
later.
I mean,
So
she
that's a
is, I
nice
believe she's in
compliment.
her late 30s, early 40s, something like that. And to be thinking back when she was writing the books and remembering a teacher she had 20 years previously and making a central side character based off of that teacher, that's really saying that that was a good teacher and that the precepts and the teacher had that big of an impact on her is pretty phenomenal. So, right, final thoughts on the series?
They're worth reading. So go ahead and get out there. I would say teachers, if you teach early elementary, use the picture book at some point early in the year, and start reading the chapter book after Christmas.
I'd say,
Yeah,
and definitely if you teach third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, somewhere in there, you can read them Wonder and start a discussion on it, or just use the picture book again. Big kids like picture books too, but definitely you can start a discussion on it. You can use it not just for writing, not just for reading, but talk about the facial deformities. You can talk about it in science so they understand what happens. You can use it to talk about in Shingling short story. Jimena's little brother has Down syndrome, so you can use the short stories to talk about music, and you can use them to talk about things like Down syndrome. Discuss those with
yeah,
your students so that they're not running away screaming, which a couple of kids in the books actually did. And I've seen it happen where a different kid comes in
and
and the
people
kids
just
are
look
just
or stare. Yeah,
frightened of them. They stare at them.
and
So,
especially now that children are in the classrooms together, to be treated the same and not to be noticed as being different, but still have their needs met to the point that they can all be on a level playing ground, it's kind of difficult for teachers. So if the parents are also backing the same thought up and raising them with the same acceptance, it's going to be a lot easier when they all get in together.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
One of the points made in Wonder, though, was that it is not an inclusion school. So, but he didn't have special needs. He just looked different.
Right.
So, definitely, looks are not always everything. Don't judge a book by its cover. Should definitely be in that discussion somewhere.
Yeah.
So, all right. I give this whole series about a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
I didn't quite enjoy it that much, but I would say 3.5 stars out of 5. Um, I just felt like she could have done a little bit more.
Oh, she could
and
have done a
and
little bit
so
more.
and
Um,
I know she's a graphic artist, and I enjoyed her stuff. But my view as an illustrator of Augie in my head didn't match the pictures when I saw
yeah, the
it,
picture
and
book
so
was probably about
yeah,
a 3.5, 3.75 for me. Wonder itself is a 4 to a 4.5 star. These three, uh, I think Shingling saved this and moved it up to a 3.75 to a 4 star because Pluto and the Julian chapter were probably both 3.5 stars. The Precepts though is a 5 star. I I loved the Precept book.
I loved
So
how the precepts, how we got the whole year in. And really, tell you the truth, out of all of them, I enjoyed Augie the best. Augie and me, I really did. And I really felt like that's why I would tell the teachers start reading that one first because it builds
this one,
everything else builds on it. Or
no
Wonder. I'm sorry,
wonder,
Wonder.
wonder.
Everything builds on it.
Yes,
On Wonder,
everything
and
comes out
it's
of this.
really really worth them reading it as a classwork. It really is.
and you can definitely use all of these. Hold on, I won't drop them, I promise. You can definitely use all of these in classroom work. You can have students write fan fiction. You can have them just do discussions. You can use them in social studies, in science, in reading, in writing. This is in the short story book. There's actually
And artwork.
discussion of, yeah, in the Pluto short story, they talk about math and how you can do
And the logarithm theorem.
how you can work with
You are not mathematics.
hush with word problems. So you can even bring bits and pieces of the books into a math discussion. So definitely, if you are a teacher, if you are a parent looking to supplement your child during the summer, if you're just someone who likes to read middle grade books, this is definitely a series that you should check out. So thank you, Mother, for being in your very first Soul Stained Ink
Yes.
video and probably last the
Yes.
way you go on about things. Um, and we will, I will talk to you again soon. She may or may not, but Elena will be back at some point in the near future to talk about her books as well. So please feel free to give us a big thumbs up if you like the video. Comment down below. Let us know if you've read these books and what you thought. Subscribe if you're new. We'll be back again soon. Until next time, I hope that you read something good and write something even better. Bye.